Hello everyone, Russo here. Just wanted to say I hope that everyone's doing okay out there. I know that times are difficult all over the world, but let's just do what we can and keep on going. So, with that being said, today you can see I have parts of a payphone with me. So, I got this from a store that has since closed in the city called Active Surplus. It was an amazing store, had lots of different, nails, screws, wires, lights, a bunch of different components to kind of allow you to make your own thing or fix whatever you had. Unfortunately, they did close around 2015. But before that, so maybe 6 years ago, something like that, I was able to get my hands on this payphone. And why did I buy it? I just thought it was cool, and I did intend to somehow hook it up to maybe an existing phone and see if I could get it to work one day. As you can see, all those years have passed, I have not done that. Or I can simply just use it as a decoration to hang on my wall, something like that. But in the process of cleaning and finding it again, I decided to do a little bit of research on payphones. And so I just wanted to share that with you as we take a look at the phone here. So kind of all started 1889 with William Gray, and he invented the payphone. And he invented it, or I don't know if this is 100% fact, but he invented it because his wife was sick. He was trying to get neighbors to let him use their phones, and they wouldn't. And so he said, I'm gonna make a phone that is just for the public to use. And so he did. And this first payphone that was created, you didn't have to put money in advance as using the phone. You would call, talk however much you wanted, and then when your phone call was done, you would enter the appropriate amount of money, and then the operator would be able to tell if you had inserted the right amount of money. So, these days, or like a few years ago, you would enter the money first, so maybe like 25 cents, 50 cents, something like that, and then you would be allowed to make your call. So, that kind of changed about 10 years after he created it, and it started to begin with the prepay system. Early 1900s, there were around 80,000 payphones in the country. Now, I'm speaking about the US. I couldn't really find too much specifically about Canada or other parts of the world, but this is what I have. So, so in the 1950s, then began the payphones with the glass booth around it instead of having a wooden booth. And in the late 1960s, it was noted that people started using payphones to do gambling, illegal transactions, things like that, because of course you couldn't really be traced because it was a public phone. And you could also see that popping up in TV shows, in movies, where, maybe in the mob or a gang or something like that, you would see, people doing like illegal little things on the payphone. So, in 1973, Motorola made their first cell phone. So I think a lot of you might remember those huge, you know, brick-looking phones that were like, I think either gray or black, and then they had like the big thick antenna on the top. Really, you know, first old school cell phone. So that was back in the 1970s, and in the, sorry, not in the 1970s. The 1970s they began making it, but it wasn't released. So I think about 1980s, that's when the first huge cell phone that I was talking about was actually released. And back then it was, you know, between $3,000 to $5,000, which is seems like a crazy amount for a phone, but, you know, even coming to modern day, you can easily see phones going $1,000 and up, almost all the time, you know, if you want premium service on it, or functions on it. So yeah, I mean, it still was very expensive back then. And, you know, after that, still in 1995, so that's like about 10 years after that first cell phone was released, still, that's when payphones reached their peak of how many were on the streets or in buildings or what have you. So there were about 2.5 million payphones, and that's only in the United States. And as the years went on, in, you know, 2007, 2010, 11, and so on, phone companies started to pull out of having their payphones available to the public. So like AT&T left the market, so did Verizon, you know, and now there's hardly any left. So in the US, most of the payphones are actually concentrated in New York. So there's still quite a lot, but not nearly as much as there was before. So in 1999, you could see around 2 million payphones, and now there's only about 5% of that left. So there's like around 100,000 left. And that was a statistic that was from 2018. So probably now there's even less in 2020. And same thing in Canada. Back in 1988, there were at least 185-ish payphones. Then in 2016, there were about 57,500, which is, you know, so little compared to what it was. Here I'm going to try to insert maybe 1 or 2 pictures of empty payphone booths that I took in the city, in the subway system in Toronto. And yeah, so, you know, that's about all I know. And so I don't know, I just thought this was really cool, you know. Got the cradle, I guess the, I don't know, headset or something, and then we've got these wires here that connect to that. All right. Have a great day.